welcome to Gamer Premonitions, the show where we tell you what's in upcoming video games using our gamer psychic minds. We are joined by the full crew. We've got Bob.
Reconnect.
From GigaBoots. Dr. Aggro.
I've slotted my materia.
And Chris Wolfhard.
No 911.
Fuck.
I'm your host, Dan Video Games, and as I just said, you are about to learn what is in the upcoming video game, Final Fantasy VII Rebirth. We have all foreseen the game, we know its every move, and we will now reveal it to you through 4 premonitions each. We also have a lightning round question in the middle. So, let's get started. Bob, what is your and our first gamer premonition for Final Fantasy? If you ever wonder why I talk this slow, it's because these podcasts are really short and I gotta draw it out. Final Fantasy VII Rebirth.
All right. Square knows that they cannot change one thing. That they would come off as total hacks if they didn't kill Aerith. So...
Oh, you think that? Oh, okay.
we will see the scene where she is stabbed. But right after that, from behind a curtain, you will hear a voice. It'll be Aerith. And Sephiroth will be like, follow me. And then he goes behind the curtain with Aerith. And you see the 2 gigantic tanks. One slightly blue, one slightly red.
Oh.
Both filled with clones of both Aerith and Tifa.
Oh.
And then he reveals to you that Tifa's been cloned this whole game. She died back in Nibelheim in this timeline. And what he just killed was another clone of Aerith. So you have the Aerith that you've been with the whole game back here behind the curtain. And then there's another curtain.
Oh no.
He takes you behind that curtain.
There's so many curtains.
And it's literally, you are on a play set. It's like the backstage of a play. You can see all the rafters. You can see the lights set up.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, that's it. That's how the game ends.
Oh, okay. Wow. That's. I feel like it's going to be hard to build a sequel off of that very end.
Oh no, it's a bunch of mystery boxes. We can keep going. Like they can go right back into this world. It's fine.
Wow, that's really crazy, Bob. I didn't expect so many curtains to be in Final Fantasy VII Rebirth. Just thinking about how many curtains that is per dollar. I feel like it is unparalleled in modern AAA gaming.
Curtains have kind of fallen out of popularity in video games. They'll bring it back.
They're trying to get the curtain technology down for when they remake Final Fantasy VI, and they need to have the curtains work for that.
Yeah.
Well, Chris, you have the task of pulling out our second and your first gamer premonition for Final Fantasy VII Rebirth.
Okay, so in original Final Fantasy VII, they kind of didn't go into the ancients barely and end up at all. Like they told us very, very little. They had a temple on the opposite side of the planet. They had a city. They have ambiguous magic powers. In the original, it seemed to be limited to using holy, and then they all died.
Mm-hmm.
Which seems kind of confusing because they don't really explain to us how they died. It's not like Genova killed them. They kind of just imply they died out, even though they can reproduce perfectly with humans, which, Anyway, my premonition is, in this part, they will clarify that the ancients are Genova. Because the thing that is, in the original Final Fantasy VII, people who with Genova in them are subsumed by Genova. And become part of Genova. The ancients will be will be people that the opposite happened to, that they overrode Genova's will, like somebody who gets eaten by the thing and now they're the thing.
Mm-hmm.
So that will be what the ancients actually are, and that will be why they imply in one of the trailers that somebody actually died and is not real. That will actually be Aerith, and Aerith will also be Genova.
Oh.
And that's why she's so spooky and seems to know things she shouldn't.
Ooh. I see. I actually don't have any comedy musings to build off of that one.
That same line that
sorry.
Chris is talking about was someone being mysterious and dead. That's what my whole Thief is a clone the whole time.
Right.
thing is
Yes,
about.
there's a lot of building things
Yes.
off of these things they said in trailers, and that's very brave of both of you. I am looking forward to this happening in Final Fantasy VII Rebirth for sure.
I mean, everything we say today will happen.
Exactly.
That's true.
If not in
That's
Rebirth,
why that
then
game
next
is
one.
2 discs.
Oh my god, I couldn't fit it at under 100 gigabytes. Dr. Aggro, what is your first premonition about Final Fantasy VII Rebirth?
Final Fantasy VII Rebirth will become host to a day 1 patch that will enable players to select how they would prefer Kate Sith's name to be pronounced in game. All of the alternate pronunciations will be AI generated without the consent of any voice actor involved.
Oh my god! Will they even sound remotely right?
It's kind of hit or miss. But don't worry. Every specific instance of his name being said by AI will be minted into a separate non-fungible token.
No.
Some of the proceeds of which will go to some of the voice actors, maybe.
The proceeds from the NFL. Where do they come? What are my proceeds?
No further questions.
Wow, that's very brave and progressive and really receptive of Square Enix to
Very union friendly, I think.
support all possibilities in ways that are possibly legal. I am looking forward to it. Always good to ride the cutting edge of technology in our AAA games in ways that are obviously ethical. Otherwise, they wouldn't get away with it.
Thank you, action movie villain.
The worst part is I'm pretty sure I'm going up against Schwarzenegger based on my exact delivery, and I do not like my odds. Well, I get to end the first round of Gamer Premonitions. Final Fantasy VII Rebirth. Gentlemen, people do not know the greatest mystery that lies within Final Fantasy VII Rebirth. It's going to answer one of the biggest questions people have about this game. These people have been shouted down all along. As you're playing this game, you're going to notice a number of things wrong. And not like wrong and like, oh, this isn't like the original game. That's wrong. No, like, this doesn't make sense with what happened in 7 Remake. And that's because this isn't Final Fantasy VII Remake 2. This is another continuity and timeline.
I have that same exact premonition written down.
Well, there you go. You know it's going to happen too. Psychics told you.
Right? I feel like they even imply that into the ending of the first one. With the timeline with Zack that makes almost no sense.
Yeah, the timeline with Zack doesn't make any sense at all. It feels like there will just be lots of timelines.
We're transitioning to that timeline, which will make the people who think that was the same timeline as the rest of the game think this is continuous to that game, but it is not.
Also, that'll explain why your levels reset in this one.
Exactly. Looking forward to it. You thought 2 retellings of Final Fantasy VII was too much? How about 4?
Oh no!
Well, that does it for round 1 of Gamer Premonitions. We now start round 2 with the shuffled order. And we're going to start with Chris.
Okay, here's a little bit of a goofier one. There will be a hidden Sephiroth date in the Gold Saucer. It will be really fucking difficult and esoteric to trigger, but it will be there.
Yeah, absolutely. You're right.
He's right. I've seen it
He
too.
is. Oh, God.
It may even be with Sephiroth like in disguise.
It might just be Sephiroth being a borderline hallucination and just saying cryptic shit and then leaving. But there will be the option where Cloud just hangs out with Sephiroth instead of anyone in his party.
I was trying to imagine Sephiroth in disguise, and he's just wearing Millie from Trigun's coat.
Yeah, it's got to be like a long dress, right?
Yeah, this is definitely happening. I'm very excited for it. We're going to see a different side of Sephiroth this time. Well, next we're going to Aggro. Aggro, what is your second Gamer Premonition?
one of the main goals of the remake series is to give fans those things that they want, but new and exciting versions of them. After a long chain of seemingly unconnected side quests that involve, collecting key items and doing fetch quests and flipping switches, all that sort of I have to go look up the game facts bullshit.
Mm-hmm.
This will culminate in the player having to aid a group of teenage girls with strange clothes and weapons defeat a horde of monsters seemingly made of shadow and bone, culminating in a boss fight against an enormous black bird with a partially skeletal head. Upon successfully completing this encounter, the player is rewarded with a new weapon, a bright red scythe that transforms into a sniper rifle.
Oh, fuck you.
A ruby weapon, if you will.
I hate you so much.
No,
The worst. You are the absolute worst.
I don't like it.
Listener,
I've been hanging on to that dumbass joke for years.
I hate you so much.
well, fuck you, Aggro, for your second gamer premonition. For my second gamer premonition for Final Fantasy VII Rebirth, this game will also change the order of events drastically from the other game. You see, we have seen trailer shots hinting how this will happen, but nobody has picked up on it, except for me, because I am a gamer psychic.
Of course.
In the game Final Fantasy VII Rebirth, you will reach vegetable state cloud immediately when a Segway explodes and puts him in a coma.
Man, there's supposed to be some sort of emotional build-up to this, wasn't there?
No, we're just going to segue right to it.
The emotional buildup was that battery overheating.
The emotional buildup is you were ready for all these fun beach time events, and it's been cut short by the reality that is vegetable cloud. It's really going to hit home with the gamers. They thought there was so much more to this game, but at least 40% of what you expected this game to be is you taking care of vegetable cloud over a dozen hours of gameplay.
Then he gets a knife hand and blows up in a truck.
And ending out the second round, we go to Bob. Bob, what is your second gamer premonition?
We're going to find out Vincent's Sephiroth's biological father in this version. He will not be a cock. That will be a definitive
Whoa.
moment for this game.
Bold.
That would explain why Sephiroth's hot. Like we see, like Hojo is very not.
No.
Like unless they're like, hey, Grandma Hojo, who's like an immaculate supermodel despite being 90. What do you think?
Look, what we don't know is that Hojo, what we've seen of him is after the accident. And he was very handsome beforehand.
He just shove his face in a grinder.
Yeah, a Yakuza Impact move was done to him 7 times.
Yeah, that sure would be a Jackie Chan movie.
Well, he didn't kill him. Obviously, Yakuza Man would never kill anyone, but
No.
maybe he should have. Hojo's rough.
Yeah, maybe he shouldn't have put the salt in after the second one of them.
Can I get an antagonist whose face isn't cured? Well, that's going to do it for the second round, which brings us to our lightning round question. The question this time is, how many Sephiroth battles will be in the game? We will start with Dr. Aggro.
The problem with tying a number to something like this is that I believe Sephiroth battles will be a procedurally generated fixture of the world map.
Oh, no.
They will just sort of pop up as an in-game timer goes along. And you will have to grind Sephiroth if you want some of the real high-end material.
Is this Destiny?
Yeah, apparently. That's
He's right, though. I've seen it too. That's what happens after the,
Oh no!
after he gets out of the vegetable state. Yeah,
No. I don't like it. So that's infinite. That's your answer?
I mean, if you want to tie a number to it, you're probably gonna, with launch drop rates, have to run Sephiroth about 30 to 40 times if you want to guarantee you're getting the high-end materia that you want for endgame.
Chris, how many times will you battle Sephiroth?
One, but there will be dozens of Sephiroths in that battle. It will be like Neo fighting Agent Smith in the second Matrix movie.
Wow, this game just got a 10 from me. If you do Barley Brawl but with Sephiroth, that is too good. Bob.
I'm going to say 6. And that will count the different phases. They'll be clear, like, okay, this is a totally new form, but it's in the same like set. You've completely deleted a health bar, though. And
Oh yeah, 7 Remake had a number of those moments. Like,
Right.
oh, this phase has ended. We will load up a different background and change the stuff.
right, and I feel like we're going to have to do that like at least 3 times in the game, so that gets up to 6.
I see. That's incorrect. The correct answer was 9. Sorry, everyone, for
Darn
trying.
it.
That's better luck next time. Well, this starts us on the 3rd round of Gamer Premonitions. We're going to go ahead and start with Dr. I feel like he deserves not to be called upon for his premonitions, but here I go again. Hey, Dr. Aggro, what will happen in Final Fantasy VII Rebirth?
I mean, I was going to pick a different one, but if you're going to mouth off, we're going to go in this direction. So, Final Fantasy VII presents a world in crisis. And the remake continuity is doubling down on that peril because not only is the planet in danger, but time itself seems to have been fractured, and human will and fate and nature are all sort of tangled in this horrible mess of conflict. And there's really only one way to set it right, about 80% of the way through the game's projected story coverage. Doctor Who is going to show up to fix all of this timeline bullshit and put right what Nomura has put wrong.
Which doctor?
Oh, it's going to be Tenet. Are you fucking kidding me?
Fucking hack. Everyone involved hack.
Like, it should be Eccleston, but it's going to be Tenet. And at the end of this game, he's going to completely invalidate all the bullshit he says about fixed points and the sanctity of the timeline by taking Aerith with him as his new companion, and everyone lives happily ever after.
Wow. That's a powerful
now,
message.
now I'm just imagining one of those fucking Doctor Who specials where there's like PS5 fidelity Aerith just in next to him.
I like the idea. No, we can't get a cosplayer. It just got to be a CG lady.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
No real woman can look as good as PS5 Aerith.
Well, this brings me to my 3rd gamer premonition. Gentlemen, part of what makes the 7 remake experience so cutting edge is seeing the technology of Sony Visual Arts Group, Square Enix, and these insane high-end set pieces unlike you've ever seen before. Visually compelling stuff that just brought these scenes, moments, settings from your childhood back to life in a way that's so beautiful that it's almost unprecedented in any field, pre-rendered video or otherwise. But this is actually going to push the envelope even further. In Final Fantasy VII Rebirth, Square Enix is going to use a Sony patent for making more immersive content.
Oh no.
In the cutscenes in Final Fantasy VII Rebirth, they will be completely immaculate looking. But intermittently, they will pause until you stand up holding the DualSense and yell, Kino!
See, I thought you were going to say that they make you do that to a Shinra ad.
I was really worried that it was going to be like those old videos where you send in a picture of your kid. Just be a dude in the background, like pointing. It was you being excited to see the thing happening in front of you.
I hope you have your PlayStation 2 iToy. Oh my god, it's me. I'm the Sephiroth. You look at the Mako stream, you look at the live stream and just see your face going down it over and over, and you're like, wow, that's horrifying. That's it for my third premonition. Bob, we now come to you for your third gamer premonition.
I'm disappointed in the Final Fantasy VII Remake fanbase. Because they do not have a special, like, DBZS name for original Sephiroth from the original timeline.
Oh.
So for this, I have taken to calling him Past Perfect Sephiroth.
Okay, that's a good
good.
name. That's a good name.
Regular, modern Sephiroth will find out about Past Perfect Sephiroth's plan and how he's trying to do something with the world and destroy everything. And this current Sephiroth's just upset because all he has is mommy issues. And he loves Cloud. So he will join Cloud's party by the end of this game or possibly the beginning of the next game, and he will just be a full-time party member.
Yes, it's true.
Mm-hmm.
It is amazing you have done it again. You have let people know what is in this high-end video game well in advance of it coming out. I hope they're braced for that. I'm sorry we spoiled that for you.
It was going to be emotional.
And the game is going to call him that. Exactly. That is going to canonize his name. Chris, we come to you now for your third gamer premonition for Final Fantasy VII Rebirth.
So, almost nobody has ever talked to this character, but if you take the buggy back across the ship to the first continent, you can cross a river, and on the other side of that river is a cabin, and inside the cabin is an old man that is asleep and has no purpose. Unless you have all of Aerith's limit breaks, except for her last one, in which case he will give you Aerith's final limit break. Nobody does this because she's dead before you start getting characters' final limit breaks.
Yeah, I did that because I had the strategy guide and I knew to go do that.
However, in Final Fantasy VII Rebirth, you will go there. He will be a named character in at least one full fidelity cutscene, and there will probably be too long you spend with him.
Oh, yeah, he's a mission giver.
You'll have a whole set of quests.
Yeah. Well, I'm very excited for that, Chris. It's about time we flesh out this game called Final Fantasy VII.
I hope he has a new design that looks kind of like that one girl that they added. It's like the weird Persona protagonist who's got the big hat and the stripy stockings. If he's just her dad for no reason, that'd be pretty hilarious.
That'd be great. Well, we're coming up on the final round of Gamer Premonitions, Final Fantasy VII Rebirth. There are only 4 more premonitions. We only get one each. It is time we told you the news. Gentlemen, I've already explained that this is not the same timeline as Final Fantasy VII Remake.
Yes, which we all already knew, of course, because we're all psychic.
It's so boring to talk to 3 other psychics like this, but I'm really just narrating that we have said these things aloud into these mics for the people. Because obviously we all knew all of these things before we showed up today. But I have yet to explain to you, the listener, the significance of the name Rebirth.
Ooh.
In Final Fantasy VII Rebirth, the game is called Rebirth because it's about Cloud's spiritual rebirth. Because when Cloud falls into the live stream, he doesn't just freak out this time. Because once again, that happens. The segue is what causes that in this timeline.
Right. This
time, Cloud becomes pregnant.
They'd sell so many copies.
Digging into the tags today.
Who's the father?
Hojo. So I hope you're ready to have been a person who bought a $70 video game featuring that.
It's surprisingly similar to an Arnold Schwarzenegger movie.
It's all about breaking new ground. Bob, what is your final gamer premonition for Final Fantasy VII Rebirth.
All right. So the start of one of the big trailers for this game, we see what look like the corpses or maybe just unconscious bodies of our main cast. We see Tifa, Barrett, and Red 13. Now, my hope is that those are simple puppets made by, I don't know, Kate Thys to fake their deaths. That'd be reasonable. But what I think actually is happening, what I'm worried is actually happening, is that those are duplicates that have spat out from them destroying Destiny. And they are maybe something called the Hollow Destined, and they will be antagonizing you and trying to correct the timeline.
So you're telling me we have a whole other game about a malice-filled entity trying to correct the timeline violently.
Right. And they may, in fact, be evil robot us's.
What? There's much to think about. Much to think about. Do they have evil robot breath?
Barrett does.
All right. Chris, we now come to you for your final gamer premonition.
So, in the original draft for Final Fantasy VII, they did not do this, obviously, but in the original draft, Sephiroth and Aerith were siblings. I don't see any way for them to swing that. But I do think what they will do is they will be like, no, Sephiroth, you're not fucking Jenova. You're also an ancient because Lucretia is an ancient. And Lucretia will be Aerith's aunt. So they will make Sephiroth and Aerith cousins.
Sounds believable.
And me, part of the reason I'm saying this, and the reason everybody will groan, even I, who am predicting this, will groan, is because part of it will be Aerith and Sephiroth have the same bangs. It will be back to 2002. These characters must be related anime discourse.
Flawless.
I mean, they gave Lucrezia those bangs, so, you know, they believe in it.
So if Hojo is Sephiroth's dad.
No, Vincent's
he's
supposed to
now,
be
remember?
Oh, right, Vincent's their dad. Right, sorry.
I don't think Vincent's Aerith's dad. We
Not
know
even
who
Aerith's
No,
Aerith's
I was
dad
going to
is.
get into the complexity. If Hojo is the father of Cloud's baby, then Cloud wants to date Aerith. How does...
I'm my own grandpa.
Well, Dr. Aggro, let's hear it. What is your final gamer premonition for Final Fantasy VII Rebirth?
Final Fantasy VII Rebirth is, as part of this remake series, is a bold new thing that we've really never seen before. We're taking old things and remixing them, revitalizing them with that Final Fantasy flavor, that juice. We're getting into a series of complicated questions about, you know, who these characters really are at their heart. You know, like is this the real Sephiroth? Is this the past perfect Sephiroth? We've got multiples running around. We're not sure about the timeline. The world itself is in flux. And we know that this second game is going to be a major crux point for this whole story of Rebirth. And I think that near the end of this is the perfect place for us to really, really put our foot on the gas, draw back the curtain, and give this Final Fantasy VII remake story what it really, really needs. I'd like to leave my fellow psychics here, everyone listening at home, the wider Final Fantasy fan base, with this final premonition, this single word. Sora.
Well, I want to thank you for your powerful premonition. It's a bold choice to make Final Fantasy VII canon to the bouncer. So that's going to do it for us here at GigaBoots. Thank you for listening to this episode of Gamer Premonitions. Go to our Patreon. This show, like our other podcasts, is made with a ton of time and top-tier equipment that improves sound quality and production speed. The GB Podcast Network is only possible with viewer support, so if you enjoyed it, then please head on over to patreon.com/GB Podcast today and check out our tons of exclusive content and the hit movie, Isolation 119. The executive producers for this GigaBoots video are Esme, Ely Broyles, Spaceman Spiff, Red Blaze 27, Brendan O'Sullivan, A Reminder for Symphony of War, Cooper Tank, Very Best Plot, Iconic Bane, and Rado. Thank you very much to our executive producers. And also these guys. If you want to become an executive producer or normal patron, head on over to patreon.com/GigaBoots today.